I've spent the past 20 years helping people build better office setups, and one accessory that can make or break your workspace is the monitor arm. Now, when it's done right, it can improve your productivity and create additional workspace on your desk. But when it's done wrong, it can be frustrating or even damage your walls, desk, and monitor. So today, I'm going to be covering the top 10 monitor arm problems that you must consider. The first issue is space. Most people will underestimate how much room a monitor arm actually needs behind the desk. Monitor arms have hinge points for adjusting their depth of your monitor, and where you mount your arm will impact where this actually hinges. Mount it in the center of your desk, and you can end up with overlap that pushes your monitor arm too far back. This can lead to the arm actually hitting the wall. Single arms with an extension tend to fold fairly flat. Dual arms almost always jut out too far towards the wall. Now, if you decide to mount on the far left or the right side of your desk, fully extending the arm can actually resolve this issue for single monitors. Beware of gravity here though, which we'll talk about more later. For dual monitors, the best setups use two separate posts, one on each side, but that also tends to be the most expensive option. Next, let's talk about price. Monitor arms can range as low as like $20 to as high as $800. That's a massive spread, and there's a reason for it, but is it worth it? Cheap arms tend to have poor welds, rough finishes, and just kind of feel flimsy overall. High-end monitor arms are smoother, stronger, and built to last. The real question though, should you trust a $20 arm to hold a $1,000 monitor? If you're going to set it once and forget it, maybe, but if you plan to adjust it often or you just don't want to risk it, spending more might actually be worth it. We have seen some big improvements over the last 12 months to 18 months with some of the heavy-duty monitor arms that are around that $100 price point. So you might actually find something solid enough to make you feel comfortable holding that new 59-inch ultra-wide monitor. Not sure what monitor arm is best for you? Check out our monitor arm cheat sheet linked in the description. Another thing most people don't think about, cables. When you route your cables through the arm, they need extra slack for the twists and turns. Too short and you'll kink or stress the connections. Too long and it'll probably look really messy. This is especially true if your computer sits on the floor and you're using it on a standing desk. In that case, you'll almost always need longer cables than you expect. Make sure that whatever you do, you don't end up doing this with your standing desk. If you're new to monitor arms, you might not actually realize that they attach using something called a VESA mount. VESA is an industry standard for mounting holes found on the back of the monitor. Most computer monitors use a 75 by 75 or 100 by 100 millimeter pattern. Some TVs used as monitors will have a 100 by 200 or a 200 by 200 millimeter pattern. Now here's the issue. Only about half the monitors in the industry actually have VESA compatibility. That means you might need an adapter or even a new monitor. Now there are clip-on brackets, but they're bulky and honestly pretty ugly. And yes, I've actually seen people try to glue brackets onto monitors, which is just crazy. Even Robert here at BTAD did it. My suggestion is buy monitors that have the proper mounting holes for the best long-term solution. Stability is another big factor with monitor arms. Even with a good arm, you can still get vibrations, especially if you type heavily or your desk isn't stable. Cheaper arms will make the problems worse, but even the best arm can't fix a wobbly desk. Wall-mounted arms can help, but they're harder to adjust if you're moving between sitting and standing with a standing desk. Remember, your setup is only as stable as its weakest link. Extending the monitor as little as possible from the place it actually mounts on your desk will definitely help reduce unwanted bounce with a stable desk setup. Every arm lists a weight rating, but cheaper arms, well, sometimes they exaggerate. Some monitor brands still include the weight of the monitor stand when you look at their specs as well. Make sure you understand what the real weight of the actual screen is sans the monitor stand. Try not to max out your monitor arm's capacity either. Just leave a little extra weight capacity there so it lasts longer and performs better. Cheap arms that are pushed to the limit, especially ones that are fully extended, will definitely wear out over time. Remember, gravity always wins. It's not about just the weight of your monitor. Size matters too. If your monitor is too wide, it creates leverage that can tilt the arm or make it pivot awkwardly. This is especially true with ultra-wide monitors or TVs used as monitors. If that's your plan, you'll need a heavy-duty monitor arm made for oversized displays. Now don't make the same mistake I did though. With a 42-inch OLED in my home setup, it's just too big to fit that standard monitor arm, but it's just too light to pick just any heavy-duty monitor arm. Weight and size are both important here. Cable management is another thing that varies widely on arms. Some arms have almost nothing, while others will give you channels and clips. The question is, how many cables can it actually hold, and how easy is it to actually get them out if you decide to change your setup later? Even premium brands like Ergotron sometimes kind of keep it pretty basic. The good news, I think once you have it set up, you won't really have to mess with it very often, so just getting something that works for you out of the box is probably going to be good enough. Adjustability is where you can really see the price difference in many of these monitor arms. Now, the cheapest arms often require loosening of clamps to move the monitor, especially for the height adjustments. The caveat here, this can also be true for expensive arms as well. Now, gas or spring-assisted arms are much smoother. You can move them with one hand, which is a big deal if you're adjusting often. If you're okay with just sort of setting it once and leaving it, a cheap arm can work fine. If not, maybe you should upgrade. And finally, let's talk about your desk surface. The clamp from a monitor arm can dent, scratch, or even crack certain materials. Real wood can easily dent. Hollow core desks, like some from IKEA, can actually break. The further you extend out the arm, the more stress you'll be putting on the desk from where it's actually mounted. If you're worried, place a wider plate between the clamp and the desk surface. This will spread out the pressure and help to protect your desk. And honestly, maybe we should just stop getting those cheap IKEA hollow core surfaces. Thanks for watching.